curious to hear more from you about how you conceptualize culpability for the mess that we found ourselves in terms of traffic safety.
Well, I'm totally not trying to take all blame off the humans involved, right? That is super useful for the insurance companies, for the police, like that's fine. But like for us as traffic engineers or planners, it doesn't help us to think of crashes in that way. We should take every fatality or severe injury and think about, well, why were these people doing what they were doing? And typically you don't have to go too many steps down that line of inquiry before you find like what our role had to do with that or how we could do better. And like the example you gave of, 2.5 miles to the nearest crosswalk, then even if you go all the way there to that crosswalk, it's probably not the safest crosswalk you've seen either. Like it makes perfect sense why these people did what they did. And to me, the onus falls back on us. We're like, we need to do better too. We talked about doctors at the beginning, like a lot of the medical research and the way things get blamed there, it was pretty similar. Like nobody would say they were sorry, and it ended up being a lot of lawsuits and stuff. And like if you just acknowledge the role and the mistakes that the engineers or the doctors or whoever made and try to come up with a plan to do better, we would start heading in the right direction. But like the way we stick our head in the sand with some of this stuff and blame on human error, like my point is it's not helping the cause. And I like the related thing to that is like the fear of liability that traffic engineers have. Like we are scared if we don't use these manuals that, as we talked about, aren't steeped in the safety research that we think, that we feel like we're going to be blamed by not doing that. There was one example I gave in New York where, this kid, Anthony Turturro, was hit, severely injured, going to have issues the rest of his life. And the engineers followed the standards to a T, but they still lost the lawsuit because they knew it wasn't safe. Like they knew speeding was a problem. And this kid's family got a lot of money because of that. So in my estimation, like we need to think about our roads in the same way. Like we can do better than these manuals are telling us. We can use what's called engineering judgment to do so, and do so in a way where you don't have that liability fear that a lot of engineers either think they have or will blame for not doing better. Like they'll kind of say, we can't do that. Like here's what's in the manual. And it's just not true. Like one of the assignments I give my students is we have this example of a very dangerous road, an example of a much nicer, safer road. And I try to get them to say, well, what are the hurdles to turning that dangerous road into being something more like the safer road? And it's not the manuals. Like the manuals, there's enough leeway in there for us to do that. It often ends up being something like level service that the municipality is imposing on this street as opposed to the manuals. So the problem isn't always where we think it is either in fixing this all.